because the Camino Network is a community, and obviously, and we cooperate with the community members, so we can interchange our service with other community members without any extra work either.
So welcome, Tom, to our second Travel Unchained event here on Mallorca. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us about Web3 and travel. And before we start, please, you haven't wrote your book yet, so please introduce yourself a little bit. You're very well known in the industry, but for those who haven't met you yet, please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I much appreciate it. I'm Irish. Been living in Germany for half my life, and managed to get involved in the travel technology industry back in the early 90s. And it was basically a coincidence. I'd tell you the story over a beer. So it's the best way of doing it. But anyway, but when so that was about back in the 93, 94. And I've been in the travel industry ever since. So we've built technology along the way, and I'm proud to sort of say we have influenced the industry in different places, and and continue to do so today.
Yeah. So how do you compare what's happening now in Web3 with the introduction of the internet?
It's an interesting question. Obviously, when you're working in the industry for such a long time, you do witness the different milestones, and there has been milestones over the last my time in the industry. I caused a few probably myself, but there has been other important milestones. But it's funny today. Well, obviously we're living in Germany. We're more familiar with the German travel industry as anywhere else. But it's even when you look at the German travel industry today, or the normal German travel agent, the technology that they're using today is the exact same technology that we're using back 30 years ago. It's a little bit prettier, obviously, but basically it's the exact same. And I don't understand that, because obviously travel agents are supposed to move with time. The arguments over the years was the travel agent workers or the people in retail know how to use the system, but that's unfortunate, because obviously the whole world is evolving around them. But the technology in between has changed a lot. Obviously, with internet, or when the web came, that helped me an awful lot. I can talk about that a little bit in more detail in a few minutes. But player hub technology, peak work, I did a lot as well. So a lot of technology in between changed. So you could have shopping sites, you could have best price sites, and so on and so forth. But the fundamental technology at the production end has remained more or less the same. The popular inventory management system that was popular 30 years ago is still popular today. You know the expression "putting a lipstick on a pig," and that is very popular, obviously, in the travel industry. And as I said just now, the sales end of technology has more or less remained the same. So that's unfortunate. But in the middle, a lot of things have happened, and that has definitely helped the consumer and stuff. So when you go online, you've got different internet sites, you can best price and so on and so forth. That has obviously come a long way.
Yeah, it has come a long way from Web1, Web2. Now we're moving into Web3.
Exactly.
So when you heard the first time about blockchain, Web3, new technology, can't really grasp it. You need some time to think about it. So how do you perceive it?
I think, when the first time, I loved Web 1.0. That was a huge step for us. It was great for us in two different ways. It was great because we had our own reservation system, Merlin, back in the day. And if we wanted to, if we got a new provider, or if we wanted to fix a bug, there was every 3 months, we would release an update. And all of a sudden, we didn't have a client server application anymore. We had an internet, we had a browser, and so things were done instantaneously. At the same time, Web 1.0 was very important for us because you had people like Expedia coming onto the marketplace. You had people like Last Minute coming onto the marketplace. And because we had a relatively new technology, we were able to serve those rather than our competition, Amadeus. So that really got us on the internet bandwagon very, very quickly. Moving fast forward to Web 3.0, I came across, obviously crypto was the first one.
Yes.
That grabbed my attention.
Yeah.
Then blockchain, because then I learned that crypto was an application on blockchain.
Exactly.
So I was wondering, okay, what other applications could run on blockchain? And then somebody started saying, well, we build NFTs, and my cat has just whatever, smiled, and it's an NFT, and it sell that for thousands of dollars, and then obviously that grabbed your attention as well. And then you realize that an NFT is not only just one unique thing. An NFT can be anything. And then I associated, or when the discussions came about with these secondary concert ticket market, and how consumers being ripped off, that a U2 ticket was 10 times the price. That's when NFTs started to make sense. And then you had a non-fungible token, basically. That's a concert ticket, and if that concert ticket is sold to somebody that is not supposed to be sold to without the permission of the owner, then you can stop that, or you can participate in that. And that's when Web3 really started making sense. And obviously, the more then I got into reading or studying or
down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. And then obviously then I got involved in Chain for Travel at a very early stage. And then, the rest is history, basically.
Yeah. So what is the story? What did what do you see, especially now with Chain for Travel, Camino Network?
Well, there's two hearts in my chest when it comes to Chain for Travel. One is obviously the investor, and I'm looking forward to seeing Chain for Travel grow and Camino Network grow. The other is I'm a validator, because one of our companies, H20 App, a crisis prediction and management system, is a validator on the network. And why did we do it? Well, first of all, we wanted to try it out to see how it would work. We were surprised to see that it wasn't that difficult as we initially perceived it to be.
Yeah.
So we were using basically the technology that we're using today, and we just added another layer to that. So it wasn't a huge investment decision, and so we were relatively quickly on the network and had our information on the network. So basically, all of the information that we have today in our central servers that we use for serving tour operators or corporates all over Europe, that's on the Camino Network today. So the reason we did it was we wanted to have something scalable, where we could have global reach, where people could access our systems or access our services without big negotiation or signing of contracts and stuff like that. So if a customer in New Zealand, for example, wants to use the service, they point and click, they download our D app, and we know who they are. We know that they can afford to use our service, because that's all taken care of in the smart contract, and everything is secure. So it is absolute scalable, and we don't have the normal hassle, for want of a better word, of chasing after money or switching people off if they don't pay and stuff like that. It is all part.
Secure.
It's all part of the philosophy.
It comes with the technology, basically.
Exactly.
So technology is. Camino Network is global. Blockchain network is are global.
Yeah.
And the specific of the Camino Network is that we verify that the companies that deploy smart contracts or work as a validator, so you can be sure whom you are working with, and
but we can find customers, or customers can find us, and we can customize our services in a way that we couldn't do before. Like an example I use sometimes, if you're operating a surf school in California and you want to have information just with respect to Californian forest fires and stuff like that, you can get that information. You don't need to get anything else. You can just procure that information. You pay a few cans and that's it. And there's no administration or anything like that involved in it. So I think that's very
for both sides, right? So
exactly.
Payment, settlement, all in one step, and
exactly. So and then obviously then the next step is because the Camino Network is a community, and obviously we cooperate with the community members, so we can interchange our service with other community members without any extra work either. It's all scalable. And I think what I find very exciting in the future is community members, or maybe even members of other communities, can enter data or can offer us data that might enrich the stuff that we do. So what we do is we access a lot of data worldwide, 500 different sources where we can get information. But then, there is only a certain amount of detail that we can go to, But if we're talking about very, very granular detail, Megaloof and whatever, a shark attack in Megaloof, God forbid. But, if somebody out there posted that onto the chain and we could access that, then obviously that would better our services as well. And that's information that we could use in our other, for our other customers outside of the blockchain. So that's why I see that very, very
information could travel in a more structured way, not like accidentally like we see today on Twitter, for example. So.
Well, I think, what we want to do is obviously we want to improve our services as time goes on. And I think the more detailed and the more granular that we can get, the better. Something about a shark attack here, and obviously that's bad news. But what we're trying to do as well is enhance our information with, I won't say good news or happy news. There are other people who can do that very, very well. But we want to offer useful information, and that useful information has to be accessible. If people are using our services and they want to book a local amenity, then we want to offer that, a parking space, whatever the case may be. And that has to be done very, very simple. And all of that, can be done with one click of basically press of the button on your smartphone, and all the reconciliation process is taken care of in the background. So normally, like with microservices like that, there are dozens of microservices you can offer. I remember, last year we were talking about that cup of coffee you could get for free on I think on a Eurowings flight. And obviously they are things that could be done all the time. Of course you can give somebody a cup of coffee, but the amount of administration and the amount of work involved in just doing that was enormous. So there's no way that the amount of work would justify the value, but now on the blockchain you can.
If a platform would do this, it would cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
The transaction fees would be higher than the cost of the microservice itself.
Exactly.
So now we have a network that does that automatically with the help of the participants.
Yeah.
And so the transaction costs drop.
But we see that every day, like even outside of the travel industry.
Yes, of
course. I was, I think it was last weekend, myself and my wife went for a cup of coffee in Starbucks, and she said, I think it was H&M, that fashion store. I've got a voucher. I got it for H&M, give me a voucher for a free cup of coffee in Starbucks. Where is it? And going through her mails until she found it, and she found it. And then you have to show it to the worker, and then she has to recognize it, has to accept it. And that's all going to be gone with the blockchain.
Because you all have your information in the wallet. You can just. I always thought in the future, because we have so many cryptocurrencies, right? Every company might have their own cryptocurrency. And then I would just go into Starbucks and say, well, what kind of currency is the most favorable today? So I pay with that.
Exactly.
So,
And I think the seamlessness is going to be where the penny drops. And what I like about it, about Web3, and especially, I've got an awful lot of, I'm more knowledgeable now than I was 2 years ago. And now that we're building an application on the Camino Network, I've learned a lot since we started doing that. But the customer using systems, if it's a website, or even be it someday in the travel agent, when the travel agent is using other technology, they'll realize that information wasn't there yesterday, or can I personalize my trip now and it wasn't possible a few months ago. And that's where you're going to see applications on the blockchain slowly creeping into our everyday life. And people aren't really going to realize it. And after a while, they're just going to sort of say, gee, that's good, and they're going to really experience the benefit without actually understanding what's happening behind the scenes. And, we had the big travel conference in Valencia last week with the FEW, and we were talking about, some very, very complex products that are sold in the industry today. And yourself, a round trip is something which is very, very complicated and are normally very, very expensive. And the people who are are booking round trips, they know exactly what they want. And of course, when they're going from A to B to C to D, they want to have services, amenities available in the respective places, cities, and places to go. Very, very cumbersome and very, very difficult to book today. But we've seen some new technology suppliers at the conference last week, where you can just basically book a round trip within half an hour, but we noticed today, you have your big players, your TUIs, DERs, and so on and so forth. They're integrating that kind of technology into their back-end systems as well. So, it's...
Still, you have, coming from a background of travel tech, you still have to connect to all the content sources.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, when you connect to one API, it's the cost of a car.
Yeah.
And that makes it hard for every player to justify a business case to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that with blockchain, we will see that during the coming days.
Yeah, exactly.
It will be much easier because you have a network. So once you're connected, you can, get the content from players in the network or sell your own content in the network.
And there are going to be smart contracts out there looking for business.
Yeah.
And they're going to be there, and they're going to be working 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they're looking for business, and you're out there as well looking for content, and you're going to meet automatically. And I think that's where the scalability is really going to be very, very evident. And you can do that all over the world 24 times a day. And then, as I say, you know who you're talking to, you know who you're dealing with, and you know the people who you're dealing with are liquid enough to pay for your services. And when you execute a contract, it's there, it's solid, it's secure, and that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting because blockchain works the way that you verify the funds before the action.
Exactly.
So not like with credit card companies.
Exactly. Yeah, as I said, that's why if we were signing off a customer in New Zealand and if we have to chase after the money, then it's not worth our time. And that's why you don't do stuff like that these days, because it's just not worth the hassle that could be part of that. So that's why we are embracing the blockchain, and we're going to do it. It's going to, as I say, it's going to take up. It's going to move into our other normal everyday work as well today. How we deal with operators, tour operators, and how we deal with corporate customers.
I think it also opens the opportunity for new business models. I understand you're also working on new business models and new apps and launching soon.
Yeah. Well, we have the first app is called H20, and we target hotels. So a hotel can access information in a circumference or radius of 20 kilometers of their property. Obviously, it can be 30 or 40 or 50, depending on what the hotel wishes. We decided to call it H20 because we think this is going to be utility for every hotel.
Yeah,
so why not
like
H20?
Porter.
And so, as I say, if there is something worthwhile knowing in that area, the hotel will know it, and the hotel can offer that information then to the guest. Free of charge, for a voucher, whatever the case may be. That's subject to the individual hotels, and that's something that we are now incorporating into a bigger product that we're building for international hotel groups. So a hotel headquarters would have our traditional or global monitoring 3.0 technology. They would see exactly what's happening in the vicinity of their hotels. Like we're in an RFP phase at the moment for a company with something like 1,700 hotels worldwide.
Wow.
So they will see in the headquarters what exactly is happening in the vicinity of their hotels. But each hotel can using the exact same technology, can serve the companies on a hotel level. So obviously the amenities you'd buy here would be different than the amenities you'd buy elsewhere. Exactly. And but the technology is the exact same. The reconciliation process is exact
agnostic to the service.
Exactly. And without blockchain technology, it's not impossible, but it would be very, very expensive. And at the end of the day, the value for the customer, would that justify an investment? It's a difficult one to answer. But I think, and the fact that we're using blockchain technology, we can have one application, we can use that globally. You switch it on, and it works everywhere, and that's a dream scenario for us. Exactly. When
we prep for the meeting, we had we're talking also with travel agencies. So you had some ideas also what travel agencies could do because they accumulated a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I think, when travel agents are going to have to use a different technology in the future, and I think, they know that, there have some big chains and consortiums, and they are very tech educated to know exactly what's going on, and they are using other technologies today than the Thomas screen, the one in Germany, and I think travel agents are going to embrace the blockchain as well, because travel agents, the margins aren't very, very big, and it is a very, very very tight margin business, so they are going to earn money by using their expertise. They are going to earn money by marking up the transaction. They can use blockchain to add their expertise to the product that they're selling, and they can charge the customer for that. They can enhance a product. So if you want to buy a package tour, fine, no problem whatsoever. But you can add value to that package tour by knowing your customer, knowing your customer's preferences, and then adding extra products to that package before the customer departs. And I think that's where the blockchain is ideal. And you're going to have different companies who are going to be offering services, bringing that kind of facilities to the travel agents, and that's where the blockchain is going to play a big role.
New business
exactly.
Yeah.
And of course today as well, we have these big travel agent chains who they themselves are quasi tour operators, because they buy an no frills or whatever the case may be. They go on Airbnb or Booking.com, and then they create their own package. And of course, then by enhancing that package, by purchasing other ancillary products via the blockchain, or otherwise it wouldn't be possible to do it.
No.
But it would be possible, but just as I said, very, very
hard.
awkward.
Yep.
But using the blockchain, obviously, it's simple. And I think as soon as that wheel starts revolving, and as soon as the agencies realize, what value they can add with relatively little effort, because when the wheel revolves, it can only revolve faster.
Yeah.
And I think the more travel agents, and maybe even the tour operators as well, realize what they can do with the blockchain, how easy it is, I think their appetite is just going to grow and grow and grow. I'm not sort of saying that, inventory management systems are going to be gone in years to come. That's not going to be the case. But when it comes to small and specialized tour operators, I think they're probably better served if they use the blockchain as a replacement for inventory management systems, because they're very, very specialized. And obviously with their speciality, they can use the blockchain to their benefit, and build in time. That's something that's going to be more important in the future. Today, building in time is it's only the X or Y tour operators, as we call them in Germany, with distressed inventory.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be distressed inventory. It can be, you don't need inventory in the future. You go out and you buy what you want when you want it. Yeah. And obviously, negotiations or prices are subject to negotiations. If you buy a lot, okay. But that's all reflected in the smart contract.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good, way of looking at it. As soon as the industry realizes, the travel agents and the tour operators and many other industry participants as well, that the blockchain really works, as soon as they lose these inhibitions, because people don't really understand it yet, but as soon as they get up and running and realize that their wheel is revolving, that it will just increase in velocity, and that's going to be very important.
Yeah, I think so too. So what would you recommend how to start for a company that is still hesitant?
Yeah, start small, identify a use case that's just easy, Rome wasn't built in a day, and people aren't going to change their business models overnight, but identify a use case that is easy, and take it from there.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for taking the time. I'm looking forward to see you later at the reception, and of course in the next few days.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for the insights. I think it's very valuable for the audience.
Yeah, very good. Very, very welcome.
Thank you.